And first off, I think there were a few questions and perhaps some issues that perhaps some of the panelists want to take on that I had laid out. I'll give an opportunity. Yeah, please.
I'm curious about kind of different approaches to causation. The design-based inferences that are inherent in randomized control trials or experiments generally, I find really attractive and alluring, right? But
change your opinion.
I was waiting for something to happen. I've had trouble with technology all day long. Hopefully that's the end of it. At the same time, I think what's at the heart of my presentation is that there is a lot of interdependence and interference in the world, and that seems to be sort of a kind of a violation of a core assumption of the experimental approach. And so I wonder how you weigh those when you see different proposals come before you, or
No, it is challenging for many different reasons, and one of those you name is the confounding factor, also spillover effects and all of that. So in designing impact evaluations, there's a learning team in my center that works extensively with the mission, and also we support repeated assessment field work to go out to do interview, to look at sample size, look at how the communities may be selected in a way. So we try to be as rigorous as we can, as limited by geography, political will and all of that.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up to our brief conversation earlier. And so what do you do when the intervention of the United States, or just having the name of the US affiliated with projects, has a negative impact? So leave aside the actual intervention, but just the presence of, or the identification with the United States in places where anti-Americanism is common. Like, how do you balance that with USAID's other agendas?
Yes, so it really depends. It's reality that it changes, but there are many different approaches that we can investigate. So sometimes we do not do a U.S. government effort, but we support local activists and groups. We support what they do. The other opportunity is we can also contribute to regional efforts. So, it's not, for example, human rights is a universal value that is not American, right? And of course, you will always face the detractors who may or may not identify certain issues as U.S. government important, and there's nothing you can do to counter that, because that's their narrative. So in a lot of cases, we also look at research to inform how we should engage. And it may come in the form of social behavioral change communication research. It may, so instead of, so we just look at different angles at how the issue is viewed, and then we support what is the common interest between us and the host government, because the host government plays a critical part in deciding the direction of the development that they want also. It's not just the U.S. government.
So first of all, thank you for the feedback. This is very useful. Second of all, I think one of the key challenges here is cross-nationally, there is an epic paucity of data. There is really a lack of data at the organizational level. Frankly, when we looked, we said, okay, we can do this. We'll just add the data that exists. And when it comes to the data that exists, it don't exist. And so I think finding that data, at least even if it's just at the numerical level of do they or don't they, as opposed to how many, because that becomes more difficult. I think that can get us to both the early warning as well as the potential for preventing. I think when it comes to human trafficking, my hunch is the key early warning system for if an organization is going to do this is, are they already doing it? And so there's this component of when do they start doing it? And with the right data, I think we can get at that. I think the other key challenge that is possible to get at with the right information, which could be collected, is what are the steps that countries and organizations take to make other organizations stop doing this. And I think that's probably the key factor in terms of what can be done from a policy perspective to make this less likely at the country level and at the organizational level. And I think that is possible in terms of getting these factors, although I believe it will be challenging, but making that effort at the individual level in terms of what Nilofer is doing, geographic level in terms of what Matt is doing, and at the organizational level, there's some serious contributions to be made here. And one of the things that Carl and I are talking about is just taking a whack at it, using our own resources to see if it's even possible. But I do believe it is, and I think that early warning component, not just in terms of early warning of who's going to do it, but early warning in terms of the factors can make organizations stop doing it, I think that has real potential.
And I would add to that just one other thing from the work that we've done on the behavior of terrorist organizations. I think one of the things our modeling has shown is that we can identify multiple factors. It's a multivariate phenomena, but the organizations that engage in doing this intensively and a lot share a number of these factors. They come in distinctive packages, and it's not just identifying which of the factors, but how do they tend to correlate and cluster together, where we've gotten a lot of leverage on trying to predict which organizations are likely to engage in, in other things that we've looked at, like pursuit or use of weapons of mass destruction or in prolific killing. So I think looking for those packages is key.